All right. Well, our next induction into the Game Marks podcast, Hall of Games, is a true pioneer of the gaming industry, a man whose contributions have been nothing short of legendary. He is a true creative force in the video game industry, working on not only wrestling games, but utilizing his talents in motion capture, voice acting, writing, and more.
And as a writer, his storytelling has set new standards, captivating millions and inspiring a generation of game publishers and developers. From shaping of video games to providing insightful commentary that enriches the fan experience to creating the very gaming memories that we talk about regularly on this podcast. And that is why John and I are very proud to induct our friend Justin Leeper into the Hall of Games class of 2023.
Hey everyone, Justin Leeper here. You know, it's been almost 4 years since my appearance on Game Marks, and a lot has happened. 2K skipped a year, Matt Cardona blocked me on Twitter, I reunited with Ukes to work on AEWFightForever. I moved to England, where I'm currently lead narrative designer on Transformers Reactivate. I mean, it could be argued that without appearing on Game Marks, I never would have returned to the video game industry. That wouldn't be the least bit true, but I've heard dumber arguments on the internet. Still, it was well worth my coming onto the pod. Johnny and George were and remain lovely chaps. And here's a little secret. Creators love to talk about their creations. But I didn't expect to get this kind of recognition. I've been to a few Hall of Fame inductions, but never thought I'd be inducted into one. You know, I remember back when I went to see the original Sheik's enshrinement posthumously into the WWE Hall of Fame. His widow was up there giving her heartfelt thanks to the industry that put a roof over her head. And then some jackass 3 rows in front of me started shouting like he was at a house show. Now I took it upon myself to go down and tell him to show some gosh darn respect. He was quiet for a little bit, but then he started up again, and all eyes turned to me. But security stepped in and soon handled the situation. I'm sure he got the help he needed. But seriously, I appreciate this honor. I'm a gamer and a wrestling fan just like the rest of you. Those are two communities that can pump out a lot of toxic waste. And make no mistake, social media and engagement farmers profit when we're jerks to one another. So don't get suckered into it. Enjoy what you consume and pump up the things that deserve it. Things like the Game Marks podcast. Thank you.
Man, oh man. Huge thank you to Justin Leeper for coming onto the podcast and sitting down with Clash and I very early on in the life of the podcast.
In different time zones, like opposite end of the world at that point.
Making time for us, and since then just being a genuinely awesome dude to us the entire time over the course of the 4 years that we've known him since.
I can't even tell you how many times we're playing a game, a SmackDown vs. Raw, or even when Fight Forever was coming out, that I would just like side message him and say, hey, like, what was it like doing this or this? He would send a picture or send like a paragraph when he could just either blow us off or he could just say, like, why am I helping these guys? But no, he always has been such a cool person, a friend. And when we said we were having the Hall of Games, I said, we need to put a guest in, and who better than Justin Leeper to be our first ever guest. One day I want him back on this podcast. Maybe we won't be as rattled or shook as we were the first time, because he was one of our first guests ever.
Yeah, that was, man, to go back and listen to that episode now is just like, you can tell that we are very like quick with our so we were wondering, what was it like when you did this? And then we just like sit back and we were just like very quiet.
Hey, he carried that whole thing.